Chapter 28. When Alexei Alexandrovich reached the race course, Anna was already sitting in the pavilion beside Betsy, in that pavilion where all the highest society had gathered. She caught sight of her husband in the distance. Two men, her husband and her lover, were the two centers of her existence, and unaided by her external senses, she was aware of their nearness. She was aware of her husband approaching a long way off, and she could not help following him in the surging crowd in the midst of which he was moving. She watched his progress towards the pavilion, saw him now responding condescendingly to an ingratiating bow, now exchanging friendly, nonchalant greetings with his equals, now assiduously trying to catch the eye of some great one of this world, and taking off his big round hat that squeezed the tips of his ears. All these ways of his she knew, and all were hateful to her. Nothing but ambition, nothing but the desire to get on. That's all there is in his soul, she thought. As for these lofty ideals, love of culture, religion, they are only so many tools for getting on. From his glances towards the ladies' pavilion, he was staring straight at her, but did not distinguish his wife in the sea of muslin, ribbons, feathers, parasols, and flowers. She saw that he was looking for her, but she purposely avoided noticing him. Alexei Alexandrovich. Princess Betsy called to him. I'm sure you don't see your wife. Here she is. He smiled his chilly smile. There's so much splendor here that one's eyes are dazzled, he said, and he went into the pavilion. He smiled to his wife as a man should smile on meeting his wife after only just parting from her, and greeted the princess and other acquaintances, giving to each what was due, that is to say, jesting with the ladies and dealing out friendly greetings among the men. Below, near the pavilion, was standing an adjutant general of whom Alexei Alexandrovich had a high opinion, noted for his intelligence and culture. Alexei Alexandrovich entered into conversation with him. There was an interval between the races, and so nothing hindered conversation. The adjutant general expressed his disapproval of races. Alexei Alexandrovich replied, defending them. Anna heard his high, measured tones, not losing one word, and every word struck her as false, and stabbed her ears with pain. When the 3-mile steeplechase was beginning, she bent forward and gazed with fixed eyes at Vronsky as he went up to his horse and mounted, and at the same time she heard that loathsome, never-ceasing voice of her husband. She was in an agony of terror for Vronsky, but a still greater agony was the never-ceasing, as it seemed to her, stream of her husband's shrill voice with its familiar intonations. I'm a wicked woman, a lost woman, she thought. But I don't like lying. I can't endure falsehood, while as for him, her husband, it's the breath of his life, falsehood. He knows all about it. He sees it all. What does he care if he can talk so calmly? If he were to kill me, if he were to kill Vronsky, I might respect him. No, all he wants is falsehood and propriety, Anna said to herself, not considering exactly what it was she wanted of her husband, and how she would have liked to see him behave. She did not understand either that Alexei Alexandrovich's peculiar loquacity that day, so exasperating to her, was merely the expression of his inward distress and uneasiness. As a child that has been hurt skips about, putting all his muscles into movement to drown the pain. In the same way, Alexei Alexandrovich needed mental exercise to drown the thoughts of his wife that in her presence, and in Vronsky's, and with the continual iteration of his name, would force themselves on his attention. And it was as natural for him to talk well and cleverly, as it is natural for a child to skip about. He was saying, "It's not superficial," said Princess Tverskaya. "One of the officers, they say, has broken 2 ribs. Alexei Alexandrovich smiled his smile, which uncovered his teeth, but revealed nothing more. "We'll admit, Princess, that that's not superficial," he said, "but internal. But that's not the point." And he turned again to the general with whom he was talking seriously. "We mustn't forget that those who are taking part in the race are military men, who have chosen that career, and one must allow that every calling has its disagreeable side. It forms an integral part of the duties of an officer. Low sports, such as prize fighting or Spanish bullfights, are a sign of barbarity, but specialized trials of skill are a sign of development. No, I shan't come another time. It's too upsetting," said Princess Betsy. "Isn't it, Anna?" "It is upsetting, but one can't tear oneself away," said another lady. "If I'd been a Roman woman, I should never have missed a single circus." Anna said nothing, and keeping her opera glass up, gazed always at the same spot. At that moment, a tall general walked through the pavilion. Breaking off what he was saying, Alexei Alexandrovich got up hurriedly, though with dignity, and bowed low to the general. "You're not racing?" the officer asked, chaffing him. "My race is a harder one," Alexei Alexandrovich responded deferentially. And though the answer meant nothing, the general looked as though he had heard a witty remark from a witty man, and fully relished la pointe de la sauce. "There are two aspects," Alexei Alexandrovich resumed. "Those who take part and those who look on, and love for such spectacles is an unmistakable proof of a low degree of development in the spectator, I admit, but—" "Princess, Bets," sounded Stepan Arkadyevitch's voice from below, addressing Betsy. "Who's your favorite?" "Anna and I are for Kuzovlev," replied Betsy. "I'm for Vronsky. A pair of gloves. But it is a pretty sight, isn't it?" Alexei Alexandrovich paused while there was talking about him, but he began again directly. "I admit that manly sports do not," he was continuing. But at that moment the racers started, and all conversation ceased. Alexei Alexandrovich, too, was silent, and everyone stood up and turned towards the stream. Alexei Alexandrovich took no interest in the race, and so he did not watch the racers, but fell listlessly to scanning the spectators with his weary eyes. His eyes rested upon Anna. She glanced round for an instant, looked inquiringly at him, and with a slight frown turned away again. "Ah, I don't care," she seemed to say to him, and she did not once glance at him again. The race was an unlucky one, and of the 17 officers who rode in it, more than half were thrown and hurt. Towards the end of the race, everyone was in a state of agitation, which was intensified by the fact that the Tsar was displeased.